How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with another FPL live stream. This time, Game Week 13 deadline is a super quick turnaround, and yeah, it is going to be a bit of an interesting one because we potentially have a... Can you call it a title decider? You possibly can, but it's the two teams at the top of the table clashing between Spurs and Liverpool. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to look at some defending stats for teams over the last 4 game weeks. We're going to be looking at our goals imminent table as we normally do, our XGI and attacking output, captaincy options, and all that sort of stuff. And we're going to be potentially looking at some what could be potential fixture changes for the season ticker going into and after the Christmas period. So we're going to take a look at those as well. And then we're going to have the hotly debated topic, which will be involved in the XGI and attacking output table between De Bruyne and Fernandes, who to captain if you have both of them this game week. So I'm certainly leaning more towards Fernandes. Maybe that's a little bit of bias for Man United, but I think the numbers may show that he could be slightly better going forward. But yeah, if you haven't done so already, if you're watching this over on YouTube, we do these live streams over on Twitch. It's 7 p.m. EST was at the time of this one. Usually we keep a pinned comment down below as to what time the streams will go live. So in this case, we've done 7 p.m. EST because I have to do it the day before because it's midweek. For the next deadline, I believe it's on Saturday, if I remember correctly. It is. So that the next deadline stream will be 1 hour before the deadline, which I like to do because it's a little bit better. But the preview stream will be either Thursday or Friday. I haven't really decided yet. I think I might do it. I might do it Thursday. We'll see. Depends on if United win or lose. And hopefully they should win because they're playing against Sheffield United. But yeah, if you haven't done so already, make sure to follow us here on Twitch. Make sure to give us a follow over on Twitter as well. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. All that good stuff. And yeah, let's get right into it. So, this is the team as we have it currently up on the screen. Just going to run through the lineup really quickly. Haven't made any transfers and don't plan to do so this game week. I don't think that I need to, personally. And I would rather not take a hit for once. I've currently made, I'm trying to think how many hits I've made this season. Let's actually take a look at that. So, how many transferred? Would it say somewhere in here? I would assume it would. So I've made 22 total transfers, and there's been, so in game week 1, we would have 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'd have 12. So that means I've taken 40 points in hits this season, which is quite a lot, actually. And I think about it. But we still have the wild card in our back pocket, and we've been saving it for the double game week. And hopefully we can use that. Actually, let's take a look back in the game week rank history. So, yeah, unfortunately, we've kind of, from this position, really, from game week 5, we've kind of stayed pretty much around the same rank. So we had a big red arrow, which took us to 1.8. Then we almost went up to 2 million. Then we went back to 1.6, back up to 1.78. Then came slowly down, and then one red arrow because Kane, Son, and Vardy decided to score in a week where no one else did, really. You know, caused a bit of problems. So we've kind of been fluctuating around. We've been looking for that one good game week, and hopefully this one basically bodes well for us. So in this case, it would be Fernandes gets like brace assists, gets 3 bonus points, and De Bruyne blanks versus West Brom. That would be something that would help us out probably more than not because of the fact that we got the captaincy choice right. And then we would need other things to go right, like Ings and Adams doing well, Tellez, you know, getting a clean sheet. Maybe he gets an assist as well. You know, these sorts of things would need to go our way. That being said, I think both De Bruyne and Fernandes could do well, and the stats will show that they have been doing well over the last 4 game weeks, and De Bruyne is potentially on a certain goals imminent table and is expected to potentially score this game week. I think he struck the woodwork in 2 successive game weeks as well, which is a bit unfortunate for him. And, I mean, United haven't had a penalty in a while, so Bruno Fernandes is probably due to score one of those soon in the next coming game weeks. Sheffield United are very bad defensively, so maybe he gets a penalty there. But let's go down and take a look at the fixtures and see what we can expect. I like these little report things. I'm actually going to take a look at one of them here that caught my eye, which is Guardiola provides fitness update for Aguero. I know it's slightly off center, but he says today he was training. He has at least the last 2-3 days he could not train. Today he trained. We'll decide tomorrow. So it seems like Aguero is slowly making his way back. But I would say for the best possible coverage for all of the press conferences, because there's going to be some tomorrow as well, for the games on Wednesday, and for the games on Thursday as well. We make sure to check out the Fantasy Football Scout. They do a like a 30-minute video or so, which basically has all the team news and that sort of stuff. So, and it's quite interesting. I really like listening to that. It's usually between Andy and Neil, two of the writers for the Fantasy Football Scout, and they are also they work for basically where you see the stat tables and stuff that I bring up. So make sure to go check that out. Subscribe to that as well, so you can get all these different stat tables as well. Hey Zodiac, how's it going? What did I miss about City? Oh, it's just it was a little these little bulleted things. I just clicked on to Guardiola provides Aguero fitness update, but he's quite vague. He was saying that he didn't train a couple of days, then he did train. We'll see in the next couple of days. So maybe Aguero plays versus West Brom. We'll see. But a lot of people are going to have De Bruyne potentially going into that one. Maybe there's an outside chance some people have Jesus, but yeah, for the most part, didn't really miss too much. We were just going to go over the fixtures again. So first day, I always like to look at the beginning. What fixtures how many players am I going to have, per day, which is, for some people it's going to be a lot more than others because some people have more players in that team, so on and so forth. So like Zodiac as an example, he's got Mars and KDB. So he'll have 2 players after the City game. Not sure how many Wolves or Chelsea players you may have, but I have Chilwell, so I'll have 2 players at the end of this day, so 1 player in each game. Kilman doesn't really count because he's on the bench at the moment. We can't, assume that he's going to come in being the second sub. But some people may have double Chelsea defense plus Timo Werner, KDB, and another City midfielder, so that's 5 players. So basically, if Chelsea don't play very well and City only win like 1-0 or something like that, then maybe things are a bit dicey for them going into the rest of the games that could potentially sink their rank. So I'll have 2 players, one in the Chelsea-Wolves game. Hopefully Chelsea can keep a clean sheet there. Chilwell maybe gets a return. That'd be nice. And then City, De Bruyne obviously doing well, but not as well as potentially our captain at the end of the game week, which is probably going to be Fernandes. Obviously, we'd like them to do both, but ideally we'd like to get the one that scores slightly more points than the other. Then the main game, probably one of the bigger games for us, is Southampton versus Arsenal, who have been in a terrible vein of form recently. And I think that if Southampton come out of that with a really big win, not only would it put Arsenal in the mud, even more than what they already are, but if we could see some good damage there, because I think that Liverpool and Spurs could potentially be another drawn-out 0-0, maybe a 1-0 either way. At most, I think it's maybe a 1-1. Like 2 goals in it in total. I wouldn't expect it to be very high scoring at all. And I think that overall we could see Liverpool and Spurs kind of do what Liverpool does against teams that sit in, and Spurs are going to do what they do against teams that are going to have the majority of the ball. So, and if it's going to play out similarly to how Spurs played against Chelsea in their 0-0, it's going to play how Spurs played against Man City. Maybe it's a 2-0 for Spurs. Maybe Liverpool actually take their chances and they win 1-0. We'll have to see. But could potentially be an early title decider overall. But if we look at players, so I'll have 2 players on day 1. Then I'll have 3 players in the Southampton game. I'll have 1 player in the Leeds game, which will be 4. Nothing in Leicester Everton. Nothing in Fulham Brighton. Well, I will have Lamptey, but he's first sub. 1 player in the Liverpool game, that's Mohamed Salah, and no players in the West Ham and Crystal Palace game. So that'll take us up to 7, if I'm correct in saying that. And then on the last day we have Jack Grealish for Aston Villa, Alex Telles, and Bruno Fernandes. So that's 3 plus 2 plus 5. I'm missing 1. Who am I missing? Oh, Bamford as well. in the Leeds game as well as Ayling. So I'll have 263 will be the number of players. So the majority of players are going to come on this day. For most people, whereas the captaincies will be on the Tuesdays and the Thursdays most likely. I don't see many people captaining Kane and Son away to Liverpool, probably, but they'll still have them. So the damage could come in this game here. If it's another Kane to Son show and they win 2-0 off of counterattacking, that could drop a lot of people's ranks. This one is a potentially dangerous fixture because of what Vardy could do to Everton's defense, although they are coming off a good win versus Chelsea, so we'll have to see on that front. Leeds should really be picking up 3 points versus Newcastle. Fulham versus Brighton, no one really cares, apart from probably Brighton and Fulham fans, to be honest. Nobody's going to watch that game. It's unfortunate that West Ham versus Palace and Brighton versus Fulham, too. Probably boring games on paper, although Fulham and Brighton do play good styles of football. Everyone's going to be watching Liverpool versus Spurs. And they'll probably have their notifications on for these 2 games, which I don't have any players in anyway. But wouldn't be surprised to see, some type of Fulham goal. Maybe Bobby Cordova-Reid getting a goal there. Maybe a Soucek goal in here. Those sorts of things. But and then on the Thursday, Aston Villa versus Burnley. So just basically looking at probably Jack Grealish, most likely for most people. And then obviously Bruno Fernandes. But I have Bruno Fernandes and Alex Telles. Some people may still have Rashford lingering around in their team. Or lingering. Can't even say the word. Lingering. I said linking. Like lingarding, maybe? I don't know. Anyway. So the captaincies are either going to have a big boost of captaincy points at the very end of the week, or probably a big boost of captaincy points at the beginning of the week. But you're definitely going to feel comfortable if you captain De Bruyne. He plays and he gets goal assist or a nice return. You'll be kind of relaxed going into the rest of the week. Knowing that you got your captaincy choice, sorted, because you can't really say what's going to happen between Liverpool and Spurs. To be honest, you can kind of think how it's going to play out. Liverpool's going to have the majority of the ball. Spurs are going to sit back. They're going to try to break on the counter, get in behind Trent, get in behind Robertson, who like to fly forward. Pretty much the same thing as per normal. But we shall see how that one pans out. But overall, should be an exciting game week. And then obviously the Friday, the Friday off. And then there's more games again, on the Saturday. So we have the early kickoff, a little bit more spread out, and then spread out again. And then the 2 games on the Monday, which is quite nice. I don't like how, I know it's TV rights and all that sort of stuff, but if we could not put the, some of the more boring games at the end of the day, it's not great. Like Newcastle versus Fulham, is that really gonna be a good game to watch? Like, couldn't we put that like on the Monday at 1:30? Wolves and Burnley is probably gonna be a bit more exciting than Fulham Newcastle, maybe, I don't know. And then the first game of the day, Brighton versus Sheffield United. Not many people are probably gonna watch that either, for the most part, but these 2 fixtures are quite good, or these 3 rather, are going to be quite good to start the day. West Ham, Chelsea to end the week as well. Following week. And then we have the one last set of fixtures before potential wild cards are going to be used. All of them are going to be on Boxing Day or the day after. And it's a super quick turnaround. Literally, so I'm going to look at here. United plays the first fixture on the 26th. And then they play on the 29th, which is just 2 days rest. Is there anyone that plays with it? There's got to be someone. So Leicester. Yeah, Leicester plays in that same fixture, and they got the short end of the stick, and they have to play on the first game on the Monday as well. So literally like 1.5 days, maybe turnaround. So bit of a congested set of fixtures overall. Moving on. Let's move the team up here. So, I saw that there were some. I'll have to look at the exact quotes that came out from Graham Potter, but basically he was saying that Lamptey, felt something, if he noticed something in his hamstring potentially. So, I'm gonna leave him on the bench, I think, and play Ayling, mainly because he has the home fixture. And Fulham have been looking quite good, and I don't, kind of really want to keep banking on potentially Brighton getting a clean sheet. You know, and I think Leeds will definitely have to pick it up in the next couple of games to get some points. And if Lamptey doesn't start or he's on the bench or something like that, that would be a bit of an issue. I know Ayling's definitely going to start for sure, so we'll put him in there. If Tellez doesn't start and then doesn't play, then Lamptey comes in anyway, so we'll keep it in that way. So I'm just going to try to let's reiterate some of the transfers I was potentially looking at. So this week I wasn't going to do anything. And then what we were going to do is potentially take out Chilwell and Tellez and bring in Trent for the 2 fixtures that are, you know, pretty good. I'm just going to pick Robertson just because he's right there on my screen. And a 4.5 million defender, whoever that may be. And then play Trent or Robertson for these 2 nice fixtures, Crystal Palace away and West Brom at home. And those would eat up the 2 free transfers. And then we could make 1 transfer before our wild card in game week 16. That 1 transfer might be like maybe, you know, getting rid of Kilman for just somebody else maybe. Just so we can get some value out of him before he maybe potentially drops down. Because currently we can sell him at 4.2. Maybe we just do some dead rubber transfer. Maybe we just get rid of McCarthy for the 1 week. But I mean, he does have Fulham in game week 15 when we would have him. It's just, I don't see really any other goalkeeper that might warrant, you know, bringing them in. Meslier is still more than 4.5, so can't really bring him in. We could potentially bring in Johnstone versus Liverpool because we know he might make some saves. But I think that you know, I think that McCarthy will do just as good there as well. So overall, not really any major changes there. Maybe we could bring in, you know, a cheaper midfielder for Burke or somebody like that. I don't really know. I mean, Leeds have Burnley at home, so that's pretty good. You know, Brighton, who do they have? They have West Ham away. Is there a better defender I could potentially be banking on? Maybe I bring in Dallas and go for, you know, triple Leeds and bank on them beating Burnley. Maybe I go for Aston Villa defender. Somebody like Konsa or somebody like that. Target even. Assuming he isn't suspended because I think he's on 4 yellow cards now, I believe. So if he gets 1 more yellow, then he gets suspended for a game. Who else could I potentially bring in? Not really much else, to be honest. Maybe a West Ham defender versus Brighton. You know, could be a bit interesting. Matt Target from Aston Villa. So basically, players who I can't remember the cutoff point. I want to say it's like game week 16 or it's before before the new year. I can't remember the cutoff time. Basically, if you accumulate 5 yellow cards, you get suspended for a game. I remember Diego Costa famously, you know, he was basically 1 yellow card away from being suspended, and he just kept scoring for Chelsea and just not getting a yellow card. It's almost like he knew, basically. And then the second he was able to, you know, it expanded to 15 yellow cards. He got a yellow card the next game, literally. So I guess he knew how to play on his, be on his best behavior. As it were, which is quite funny. So yeah. In terms of the, you know, wild card, I've already I discussed in the last stream potentially how to get Son, Kane, Salah, Fernandez, all these sorts of players all in one go. And we're going to show you the reason why. So I'm just going to bring that team up again. So if you still have the wild card and you're looking to play it, this is assuming all of these players stay similar as prices to what they are, which I think they will. I don't think there's going to be mass, you know, selling or buying of certain players. Maybe the cheaper ones. Forward is going to be Brewster. Your wild card idea with the wild midfielders. Yep. That's exactly it. Who do I have to get rid of? Get rid of Chilwell, get rid of Tellez, get rid of Kilman, Lamptey. Actually, no, it was Kufal. Kufal. It was Taylor. Ferguson. Actually, I'm curious. Are there any other starting defenders that are like 4.3? Let's see. Let's take a little look in the bargain basement. I don't believe there is. I think Lascelles might be 4.4, but we can check. Veltman has only started a couple games recently. Oh, Lascelles is 4.3. Okay. Obviously from the same team, so not ideal. Who else do we have potentially in here? There's one I saw a little bit lower. Where was he? Cahill's 4.5. Okay, so he's a little bit more expensive. Let's see. Anyone else in here? I wish Axel Tuanzebe would start for United because he'd actually be a good defender. But, not meant to be. Don't see anyone else potentially getting in, to be honest. So out of these players, the most likely, I mean, you have Cooper from Leeds, who's 4.4. Alioski is 4.4. Holding's been playing for Arsenal at 4.4, but Arsenal are crap, so that's probably not the best idea. Yeah, not ideal. But what we'll do is we'll just put in a 4 million defender for now. If I can find one. We'll just put in Nico Williams. Just for the time being. Many were rising price today, so you can earn money before Game Week 16. Yeah, but those players, the players that I'm going to have, those players that are rising, like De Bruyne, Fernandes, and Bamford, they increase my team value, but I'm not selling them as part of the wild card. So I don't get any, I get value on them, but I don't actually get value because I already have them in my team. So we want value on players that we're selling, like Chilwell, like Tellez, like these sorts of players. But it's good to have them in the team so they don't cost as much. That's the one good thing. Yeah, so if you look at this team, you know, we got Charlie Taylor, we got Ayling, we got Kufal, you know, some okay defenders. Maybe Ferguson comes back at some point. Sure. Alternatively, we could get rid of Kufal if we wanted to. Now, I know this probably is not the greatest, but we can go like Lascelles and Lewis. I mean, they both play for Newcastle, which isn't ideal, but it does mean we have an extra defender who we know is going to play. You know, we'll have to play one of them versus Liverpool at home, which isn't ideal. But, you know, we can play Lewis in there and maybe he gets something. And we'll see what happens. And then in goal, we'd have to have a 4.5 goalkeeper if we went this route. But I think this is probably a good, you know, good potential. Charlie Taylor being 4.4 is quite nice. Burnley have, you know, some decent fixtures to start as well. Sheffield United at home, Fulham at home. Maybe some clean sheets there. Again, does have to go against Liverpool. But we can use our transfers instead of rotating out our team. Assuming, you know, Kane's fine, Bamford's fine, Son's fine, Salah's fine, De Bruyne, Fernandes, Souček. These sorts of players are all fine. We would rotate out our worst defenders. So, as an example, Ayling's, you know, fixtures are good. So he's a good West Brom fixture. But then we can use... so he has, you know, Spurs away. Not ideal. We can take Ayling out and get another 4.5 defender, or maybe start with somebody who has slightly better longer-term fixtures, maybe. If we do go the double Newcastle defender route, then obviously we're going to have to suck it up and play against Liverpool at home, which isn't ideal. But at least they're getting the fixtures out of the way early on. And if we know Salah does the business versus them, then it's fine. Because we're getting a boatload of points for the guy who we're probably going to captain versus them anyway. Yeah, so this is what the team would look like, ideally, let's say. Right? So, if I bring up... I'm going to open up the season ticker in a new tab here. So if you aren't familiar with this, this is the Fantasy Football Scout members area. So this is what the logo looks like right there. There you can find them on YouTube as well, and you can take a look at their offer. I believe it's like £20 for the whole year, and you get to look at season ticker rating. You get to rate my teams, public stat tables, comparison tools, all that sort of stuff, and it's quite valuable. So if we look at, let's change it to, we want to change it from Game Week 16, and we want to do it for the next 16, 17, 18, 19, yeah, fine. Next 5 fixtures, and we'll rate it in terms of attack. So we sort by difficulty. Attack-wise, from Game Week 16 onwards, Arsenal should be good, but Arsenal we know are terrible, so we're not looking at them. Spurs, Fulham at home, Leeds at home, Aston Villa, Sheffield United all look quite good. West Ham, Leeds, Man City, Man United, they're all up there in the top 5 or 6. And if we go back to the wildcard team, we have City, we have Man United, we have Spurs in there, we have Leeds, and I believe where's Liverpool? Liverpool's Liverpool, so they're going to be down towards the bottom, but again, they start Game Week 16, 17, and 18 off with Newcastle, Southampton, and Burnley, so could be good overall there. In terms of defense, if you look at it, West Ham second, Leeds is up there, Man United is up there, Man City, Burnley, Leicester, Spurs, Liverpool, Chelsea, all in the top half. But if you look, West Ham, Leeds, which are 2 of the defenders that we have. So we have a, well, we don't have a West Ham defender, but we have a Leeds defender. Is Burnley in there as well? Burnley's up there as well, so we have a Burnley defender in Taylor. Newcastle, I believe, is towards the bottom, but if we change this to from Game Week 18 onwards and sorted by defense, Newcastle moves right up. So they do have a couple of rougher fixtures, but overall it should be fine. Will you spend your free transfer this week or wait till Game Week 14 to do 2 like me? I'm gonna wait a week because there's no reason for me to change out my defenders this week. Mainly because I think Wolves away is perfectly fine for Chelsea. They should manage, okay. And Tellez has Sheffield United. And Shaw played the last game, came off with looked like fatigue potentially. But I would expect Tellez to play against a team that's going to be a lot more defensive, I would think. So we shall see. And if Tellez does play, that's great. If he doesn't play, well, then we're getting rid of him anyway. And then we can always assess. So there's no reason for me to get rid of or warrant getting rid of anyone this game week. Tellez's fixture is good. Chilwell is Chilwell. The midfield is what we want. The forwards is what we want. So I think it's better to wait. Unless there's something in the press conference which is like a glaring issue. Then yeah. But yeah, if we look here, West Ham defense could be quite good as well. So if we go back to the team, instead of having, maybe these two Newcastle players, maybe we go with the likes of a Kufal in there, and we go with a blank dud defender, and then we just play these 3, and then basically take out which one we want, as it were. I like in the tight schedule, you have 2 transfers for the next week. Maybe only use 1 and go 2 at the chaos will. Exactly. So potentially I could go with 2 as well, but I'm probably going to just do it anyway, just to, bring in a Liverpool defender for those 2 games, and then have the 1 free transfer to do whatever. And then if it's just a whatever game week, then I'll just use it on something random maybe. But yeah, having 2 free transfers is quite nice. But assuming everything's fine, then we should be okay. transferring Vardy out next week might not be a bad idea either. But yeah, so that's the season ticker. So we're gonna close that. But yeah, that's basically the team that we're looking at. And then you're looking at Kufal's fixtures. He's got a pretty good run off the wild card. Ayling has a pretty good run off the wild card. Probably Spurs away isn't great. Taylor, has a couple of games off the wild card. Has to play Liverpool away, but again, Burnley are usually quite resolute defensively. Overall, and should be fine. We could potentially squeeze some more out of our defense, maybe, if we go for a defender that's 3.8. I know there's one somewhere in here. Douglas, this guy. And then we can upgrade our goalkeeper if we needed to as well. That would be something that we could definitely do if we needed to. There could be another 3.9 in here that maybe crops up, but highly unlikely. Yeah, I don't see any that are gonna basically like pop out, as it were. But yeah, that's basically what we would go with, and then your attack is pretty much set. You play 3-5-2 every week, and then you're pretty much golden. But this is how the team as it stands now. But if you have a little bit more money in the bank, you can do other things, like you can get Reece James and keep him there because Chelsea have pretty decent fixtures. They were in the top half. You can spread the money across more defenders to have a much more stable bench. You could potentially use that extra $1 million to get like Welbeck or somebody that you know is going to play game in, game out instead of Brewster. There's a bunch of different things you could do. Let's take a look at the goals imminent table. So I'm just going to move this, make it a little bit easier to see. So again, this is part of the Fantasy Football Scout members area. Let's see, expected. So the XG is the expected goals. So that last column in here just says expected goals. Even though I got Chilwell and James, that is over 5 mil. I still consider a third premium defender 5 mil. Yeah, pretty much. Any defender, I consider the cheap defenders 4.5 in that realm. So like 4.5 to like 4.7 is like the cheap defender. So like Lamptey and lower is like Konsa and lower is like the cheaper defenders. But look at the goals in the table here. So we've got Cavallero for a 5.3 million Fulham player. Could be quite good. Trezeguet is still on there, but obviously not really an FPL asset. Bamford's on there. Like to see that. Could potentially be scoring. And misses his fair share of chances, but should potentially score one. Hopefully this game week. De Bruyne's on there, so again could be captaincy shout. Aubameyang's gonna stay on there after scoring one in his own net. From this game week. Mane's in there. Mane was hard done potentially. He could have potentially scored in the past game as well. Firmino's on there as well. McBurney, Richarlison, and Sebastian Haller. For team stats, let's take a look at some of the weaker defenses. So, at the very top, we see West Brom. I'm just going to shift it over just a little bit. We don't need to see that last column. That's just headed goal attempts conceded. But basically, the XG conceded, the highest is West Brom. Sheffield United are 5th on that list as well. So one would think that West Brom would be, the most likely to concede the most goals based on their XG. And if we sort that by goals conceded, they're there as well. Although Sheffield United have conceded 7 goals with a conceded XG of 6.86, and they've conceded one less big chance over the past 4 game weeks. So, again, the defensive stats show that it is quite close. In terms of goal attempts conceded in the box, West Brom 52, Sheffield United 42. So again, quite close. Goal attempts conceded, again, not far off from either of them. Although West Brom have had a clean sheet in the past 4 game weeks, it's not much splitting between the two. But if we look at teams that are better defensively, no surprises here. teams in and around the top 4. Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City, and Spurs all up there. United's not far behind. Everton's actually done, decently well over the past few weeks, but they do concede a lot of big chances in terms of based on the goals conceded that they, were to concede. But if you sort it by big chances, Everton is up there. Southampton actually conceding quite a lot of chances. But they also have McCarthy to potentially bail them out as well. Which is definitely interesting to see. But yeah, if you're going off of big chances, West Brom is tied third. Goals conceded, West Brom is first. XG conceded, West Brom is first. So everything would point to the fact that West Brom has the weakest defense. And I mean, they conceded 5 to Crystal Palace. Yes, that's probably in part due to the red card. But let's take a look at the captaincy options for this week. So we can maneuver this a little bit. So this last column here is XGI, so expected goal involvement. So that is the likelihood of them getting a goal or an assist per the last 4 games. So if we look, it's sorted by that. Bruno Fernandes at 3.73. So he is expected to have scored and assisted 3.73 goals over the last 4 game weeks. And if we go and take a look at Bruno Fernandes' stats, in the last 4 game weeks, he has gotten 1 goal, 2 goals, 1 assist, 2 assists. So it's about par for the course. If you look at Kevin De Bruyne, 3.47, so probably 3.5. So we'd expect him to be definitely 3, but potentially 4. Wouldn't be surprised. Let's take a look. Last 4 game weeks, Kevin De Bruyne has gotten nothing there. 1 assist, 1 goal, 2 assists, and then nothing there. So again, par for the course at 4. But if we take a look at someone like Timo Werner, who's expected to be 2.76. Let's see, Timo Werner. All players. Werner. Last 4 games. Only 2 assists. So potentially underperforming slightly. That number is probably exacerbated a little bit before he started to actually score. But the last 4 games, getting a lot of big chances for himself. He's tied most with Jamie Vardy with 4. And just not really putting them in the back of the net. And that shows based on his XG delta. So he's basically not scored 1.9 goals of what he should have over the last 4 game weeks. Which is interesting to see. In terms of chances created, no one's better than Bruno Fernandes. At the moment, his XG delta non-penalty is basically bang on. De Bruyne should have definitely scored more than what he has been from open play. And then Salah, his XG non-penalty is pretty much bang on. 2.06 expected goal involvement over the last 4 games. If we look at Salah's stats over the last 4 games, he's gotten 1 goal, 2 goals, 1 assist, 2 assists, and didn't play in game week 9. So 4 goal involvements for an XGI of 2.06. So quite efficient from Salah, although he was quite fortunate with the penalty that he got. Have you tried the Chrome extension Better FPL? I have not. No, I have not. Is that the thing where it shows like the fixtures below them and that sort of stuff? I believe that's what I see. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really like it, to be honest. I think it works for some people. I just think the layout just makes it's like it's too much information in one thing for me personally. I don't know. I think it makes the screen a bit too colorful, too clunky. Although that being said, when I make spreadsheets, they're all over the place, color-wise. They have the blues, reds, yellows, greens, oranges. I'm a very visual oriented person, so yeah. But I know the one you're talking about. Actually, let me see if I can bring it up. I think Fantasy Football Scout, they do a talk with Gianni, who comes on every week. Line apologies for the sound, and I think he uses it as well. yeah, let me just take a snippet tool of this. So it basically makes his things look like that. Really hard to see, but it puts like little fixture blocks below them or whatever. Yeah, I just think it clutters up the screen a little bit too much for the what's name. But some people like it, some people don't. Yeah, this is what it is. But yeah. So if we also look at Kane versus Son, expected goal involvement of Kane versus Kane and Son over the last 4, 0.73, 0.63. This is where the frustration comes in. This is where it comes in. So Kane, over the last 4 game weeks, he's gotten 1, 2, 3, 4 returns. So he's got four returns, goals or assists, and he's only expected to have gotten 0.63 goal involvement. Son. Let's check him. Heung-min Son. 1 assist, 2 assists, 1 goal, and then 1 goal. Again, same. 4 goal involvements, only a 0.73 expected goal involvement, which is why it's so frustrating, because the stats show that Son and Kane shouldn't be scoring as much as they are, but they are, which is a bit annoying, because that just means they're in super good form, and they're doing quite well. Overall, which is why every time I watch a Spurs game I get super frustrated, because of the fact that they just keep killing the rank, basically, which, you know, isn't ideal. They're the definition of form over fixtures. Yeah, not ideal, but can definitely be you know, the whole debate. Do you go for form or do you go for fixtures? Same with DCL. Yeah, I mean, DCL, I sold him and I didn't want him to score, you know, versus Chelsea. He did get a return, but he matched effectively Ings, who was his replacement. I just took the hit for it, which is fine, because I think Ings has a better fixture this week versus Arsenal, who are just not in form at all. And then Southampton have Man City, which isn't great, but you know, it is what it is on that front. Everton then play Arsenal, but then Southampton have Fulham, and Everton have Sheffield United. But again, with Everton, they're having to play in, you know, James Rodriguez seems to be having injury problems, so he's going to be in and out of the team. Digne's out for a long while. Seamus Coleman's only going to be just coming back soon-ish. Can DCL keep it up? Who knows? They rely on him quite heavily, so yeah, he is someone that is basically kind of carrying his team, and scored quite a few goals right off the bat. Would I like to have them all? Obviously, but I think that Ings is somebody who is a very, very intriguing player, because he's somebody that on his day just always seems like he could get a brace, which is somebody who you want to have in your team. He's like Raul Jimenez, but like better. So Raul Jimenez was a player that always would score, like he would guarantee get to the goal, 2 or 3 bonus points, sure shot thing. Ings would do the same thing, except Ings could potentially get an assist as well. He could also get 2 goals. Like you would very rarely see Raul Jimenez score double-digit figures at all. Whereas Ings, you could definitely see that happening. And with Ings and Adams' partnership that was sparked at the end of last season, which is continuing this season when Ings has been fit, then overall I think it's a good partnership that they've you know done, basically. And I think away from home suits Southampton better. They typically play better away from home. Well, at least they did last season. So let's actually take a look at that. So Crystal Palace away, they lost on the opening day. Not ideal. Home, they lost to Spurs, so off to a bad start. But won against Burnley. 3-3 versus Chelsea. So probably weren't expected to be that game. 4-3 versus Villa, but mind you, they probably shouldn't have conceded 3. They kind of just fell asleep. 1-1 away to Wolves. Again, it's a bit tough place to go. Beating Brighton as well. They've had a bit of a mixed bag overall, and seem to kind of go break even. But I think Arsenal are in a lot of pressure at home, and I think it just is a perfect game for Southampton to basically press the likes of El Neni and Ceballos, who like to just kind of dawdle on the ball a little bit, and they could potentially be in for quick counterattacks. And Ings is somebody who is in that same mold of how Harry Kane and Son are playing, where if he's on form, he's going to have really low XG, but he's going to always score. And that's exactly what we want. And if there's somebody who's going to pass it to him, it's probably Adams, or Ings is going to pass it to Adams, and I want basically both of that. I basically have the budget version of the Spurs duo at the moment, but except for Southampton. So we'll see how it goes. I just like the way Southampton play. And I think that, you know, the Arsenal away fixture is better for them than most teams because of their, you know, passed away fixtures now they were last season. And I think that they work better as a unit, whereas Everton, without having James Rodriguez, Decore, Alan, who's, I think he's suspended now because he got his 5th yellow, so he won't be playing, you know, in their game versus Leicester. So that's a big miss for them. They have to play potentially, you know, a lot less defensive minded versus Leicester as well, so they can be more exposed at the back, which means DCL might not get as much of the ball because they're going to be defending more, so that can be a bit of a problem. Yeah, Alan is very important for Everton. I think Andre Gomez is very underappreciated as well, because of the amount of work he can do in midfield, and Decore as well. That, like, unit of 3 is like super good. You have Decore, who breaks up play but drives with the ball. You have Andre Gomez, who controls things from the midfield, again breaks up play very well, can drive with the ball very well as well. And then Alan, who's basically just there to destroy and distribute to those 2 guys as the runners, which allows James to do whatever he wants. And overall, I think that midfield works quite well. The problem is that when you start losing one piece from it, and even only one piece, it becomes a bit of a problem. Again, that midfield is a very mimicable midfield to the likes of Liverpool. So Decore is a decently creative player. Normally, Liverpool last season, they would have the likes of like Keita or Oxlade-Chamberlain playing like the Decore style of role. The Andre Gomez style of role would be like the Wijnaldum, maybe. And Jordan Henderson would be the Alan. And that's basically what it would be designed to do, just kind of disrupt play, recycle the ball. But you need fullbacks to help with the creativity. Problem is when Digne and Coleman are out, they don't really have much else. Whereas Liverpool, Trent Alexander-Arnold, they can have Nico Williams come in, they can, you know, play James Milner there when he's fit. They have Tsimikas now who can, you know, be in, you know, backup for Robertson. But for the most part, Trent and Robertson are pretty, you know, injury proof for the most part, specifically Robertson, because he just kind of seems to play every game. So, and I think they'll both definitely be playing in these next few Premier League games, you know, assuming that they're fully fit. There is a chance that they could be rotated, which is why it's a bit of a danger. I think that someone like Trent is probably going to play in most games because he's just come off an injury, and they'll need to get him minutes to get his, you know, his rhythm back and that sort of stuff. And they have a significant drop off when they don't play Trent, whereas I think if Robertson, you know, Robertson is extremely good on the left hand side, and they definitely would miss him if they play Tsimikas over him. But I think that, you know, you could probably get away with, you know, putting Tsimikas in, who's played quite well when he's come in. Whereas Robertson, you just saw, you know, with Trent Alexander-Arnold, you just saw a lack of just quality, and that's why Mane has been struggling. And we can actually look at his stats. So if we look at Alexander-Arnold, so Trent has missed. He missed the Leicester at home, Brighton away game, didn't start in the Wolves game, and got taken off early-ish in the Fulham game. So the last 4 games, basically. Oh, in the Man City game, he got taken off early as well. And if we look at Mane's returns in the last 5 games, you know, got the 1 assist in the City game and just the 1 assist in the Wolves game, but no goals. That's why he's on the goals imminent table. Someone who has basically is, in terms of fantasy and in terms of how they play on the pitch, deep lying balls that are swung in from Trent are usually aimed at the back post. Who's usually at the back post on the left hand side? Sadio Mane, someone who's very good in the air for his height. I think he's only like 5'9", 5'10", but he's very good at jumping and he's very good at heading the ball. And is often unmarked and is able to get free runs into the box. Which is why if you do have Sadio Mane, I think that if you're going to bring in a Liverpool defender, Trent Alexander-Arnold's the one you probably want to bring in. If you have Salah, I think you probably want to bring in Robertson so you can cover that side. Because if Robertson swings it towards the back post or slides it across, Salah's usually the one that gets to it. And that's just kind of how I see it personally. You have the 2 right footers or you have the 2 left footers. That's how I see how you would go for it. So you can get both coverages of the sides of the field that Liverpool play, but also you have, you know, if they go towards the back post, which they often do, Trent more so than Robertson, then you can get the coverage of both players in that regard. And even if it's a, you know, a little cut back to Mane, then you still have the assist from Robertson as well. But yeah, should be quite interesting. Beforehand, if we go to take a look at the difference between Robertson and Trent beforehand. So Robertson, you know, did quite well. You know, 4, 6, 10. Obviously got the -1 because they conceded 7 versus Aston Villa. 6 and then a 12-pointer here and another 6. He's gotten 1 goal, 3 assists. Yes, he's played 90 minutes of every game in the Premier League, and Trent has missed a few. But Trent's only got 1 assist this season, which is, you know, quite bad considering these two. I think it was last season. Yeah, it must have been last season where they got 25 assists between the two of them. So, and I think the way that they play, it's quite important. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the tactics board here to kind of just show quickly how that they play. This was from the video that I did earlier, so I'm going to get rid of all that nonsense. But basically, the way Liverpool want to play, I'm just going to put out just a bunch of players that are defending. So this is going to be the enemy team. We're just going to put them out there. This is kind of important to know kind of how teams will play. So if a team's sitting in a low block, let's say like a Burnley or somebody like that, and we'll just put Liverpool. Liverpool will be this these guys here. So we have Alisson back there. We'll have Trent here, Robertson here. What would be normally Van Dijk and Gomez. You have Jordan Henderson. You have Wijnaldum, Keita, Firmino, kind of picking up this pocket of space in here. Sadio Mane, and then Mo Salah. So if a team's kind of backing into this corner, you need the fullbacks to kind of take up different spaces. So typically if the ball is with Mane, he likes to kind of drive at the defender in such a way that causes him to either get into a position in the box in this kind of space in here in between the block and then cause to get taken down for a penalty. And he also has Robertson going in on the outside. So basically if the defender comes to commit and this guy comes to like help and double team, he can try to like, you know, shimmy past him and then dribble into the space, or he can wait for Robertson to make the run, play him in behind. Robertson's then in all this space in here, forces the center back to potentially come to cut the ball across. This defender comes across, this guy will come across, and then Firmino can make a run into this occupied space. You can have a run into here as well. Maybe Salah's already made his way into the back post as well. So if the ball's played across super quickly, Salah can come in, smash it in the goal, and that's kind of how they work it with Robertson. With Salah on the ball on this side, what usually happens is, let's say Salah has the ball, they come across to, to double team him, and this person drifts, tries to drift and make a run in into this occupying space, but the pass just isn't on in there. The ball can then be played off to like Trent, who can sit off. The ball is played, he runs onto it, and then basically Mane, who's already seen the ball go out, can potentially look to occupy this sort of space in here or attack the space. Firmino will probably go towards the penalty spot, whereas Mane can go towards the back post, and Trent will try to get a delivery in such a way to where it's whipped in with a good bit of height, to where the goalkeeper can't come out and collect it, and then Mane comes in and then tries to head it in the goal. But yeah, that's just something really quick on kind of how the fullbacks work, and you can see that when you watch them play. And basically, the ball ever springs out to the middle of the pitch, you have Firmino basically hitting it back to one of the midfielders, and then they recycle it back out to the fullbacks. So basically, if you can strip the ball off when they are transitioning the ball towards the fullbacks, you can hurt Liverpool, quite greatly, because of like how you saw in the Aston Villa game. They just sent fast players in behind. They had the Jack Grealishes, the Watkins just running behind them. That's how they scored 7. But yeah, a little bit of a side tangent, but I thought it was quite important because some people are looking to get Trent back in. Some people have Robertson still. Some people are getting Robertson in. And if we look at FPL price changes, let's see if we can bring those up for me really quickly here. For some reason the page froze. So players that are looking to potentially go up tonight: De Bruyne, Fernandes, Bamford, Madison, Konsa, Balbuena could be going up. He's 4.4. Target is close. Mount is on his way up. Maybe people heard me say to pick Mount as the differential. Who knows? Riyad Mahrez, Martinez are somewhat close, but probably not going to go up. Souček is definitely on the rise again. He looks to be quite sought after. And then people going down. James Rodriguez, who was close to being 8 million at one point, is going down. Castagne is going down from 5.7. He's been staying up there for quite a while. I'm surprised he hasn't gone down quicker. Who else of note in here? Connor Cody going from 5 million to 4.9 would be interesting. So he'd be a cheaper-ish option. Havertz going down again. Again, a bit of a rotation player for Chelsea at the moment. Antonio going down again. Imagine a 6 million Antonio when he comes back and is fully fit. That'd be insane. The fact that he started at 6.5 million was crazy. Yeah, bit interesting for that overall. But yeah, should be a good game week, I think. Was there anything else I was thinking about talking about? Spacing out at the moment. Let's see. Actually, let's go look at the Flames Recruit League. Let's see who's on top at the moment. So we got early days. We got Dinko Barakanov. He's currently sitting at the top here. Only 58 points in the last game week. He currently sits at 8,000 in the world. 8,061, already inside the top 10k. Has he used any of his chips though? So 81 points. So far so good. Don't see any chips being used to get here. So he played his wild card. This was back in game week 5. So this was for the international break. Brought in Kane and captained him, and that was for his second 16-point haul versus West Ham. Had Son in there, Zaha, Salah, Martinez, Semedo, Calvert-Lewin. Did quite well for himself. 96 points that game week. Did he do anything? No, so he still has all of his chips apart from his wild card and is looking quite good. So in the previous game week, so he had Jimenez, who at the time he would have gotten rid of him, and then he just scored 2 goals in back-to-back games. So a bit unfortunate. He got rid of the likes of Mitrovic. He got rid of Ings. He got rid of Aubameyang, who he had kept for a few game weeks, which was a bit interesting. So this team on paper doesn't look great at all. Obviously, not a very good game week. But Salah saving him captaincy-wise, and then wildcarding into this masterpiece. So let's see what his current team currently sits at. So he's got Martinez, he's got Chilwell, he's got Robertson, he's got Dallas, he's got the Holy Trinity, De Bruyne, Fernandes, and Captain Salah last week. He's got Grealish, he's got Bamford, he's got Calvert-Lewin, he's got Che Adams. So he's looking pretty darn good, I think, so far. On his bench, he's got Soucek, 9-pointer on the bench isn't great, and Kufal and Branthwaite with Forster as well. So overall, I think his team is looking quite good. When is the deadline for price rises? So it flip-flops depending on what time zone it's in. Not what time zone. What is it? Time zone? Basically, if it's EDT, so if it's during the summer months, it's 10:30. I want to say my time, which is 9:30 EST, which is 1:30 UK time, or 2:30 UK time. Basically, the price rises, I believe, are in half an hour. I'm pretty sure. From now. Or 29 minutes. During the winter time. So it's 9:30 my time, 8:30 EST, 2:30, whatever time it is. Yeah, so 2:30, yeah. Something like that. The easiest way to find out is you can go on Fantasy Football Scout, their forums. There's usually a guy who posts the price changes of who went up and who went down, and you basically just see at what time that is, and then you can just go from there. So yeah, but I believe it's in 29 minutes. So yeah, he's got the Holy Trinity. I like his team overall. This week, if I'm him, let's see. It's game week 13. Am I playing Chilwell versus Wolves? Probably. Robertson versus Spurs. Am I playing Robertson versus Spurs? Who does Kufal have? Crystal Palace at home. I'm probably playing Kufal over Robertson, to be honest. Who do Leeds have this week? Newcastle. It's going to be tough. Yeah, he'll have to play Kufal over Robertson. That's the only thing he can do. Because you ain't benching any of these three. And you probably ain't benching any of these three either, so... Yeah. Yeah, I think Kufal will get a clean sheet as well. There we go. But yeah, I think that's, we've gone just over an hour and 3 minutes or thereabouts, so I think that's probably going to do it for this one. Let's move over to the big camera. So yeah, that's going to do it for our deadline stream for Game Week 13. Remember, the deadline is... One moment. It's 12:30 my time, which is 4:30 UK time, because there's 6 o'clock kickoffs, or a 6 o'clock kickoff with the Wolves and Chelsea game. So make sure to have your team locked in. My team's pretty much locked in. I don't think I'm going to change off Fernandes. It just looks too good to be true. And there's something nostalgia about the last game week, last player of the game week getting you a massive hole. So you go from that like potentially like a mediocre, looking red arrow to like a big green arrow, depending on if they do well or not. And I have Tellers in that game too, so hopefully that comes good. And I think that there is a chance that De Bruyne might be benched, because I don't think Fernandes is going to be benched at all. But I will wait for the press conferences. Hopefully those come out sooner rather than later than the FPL deadline. And then we can get the news that we need for our team. So yeah, if you haven't done so, make sure to follow all the socials. Thank you for watching. Like I said again, if you're watching this on YouTube, we do these streams over on Twitch. And the next one is going to be either Thursday after the United game at 7 p.m. EST, or it's going to be on Friday at 7 p.m. EST. It's either going to be either or. Probably the Thursday is more likely. But yeah, thanks for watching, and until the next one, take care.